What fictional character deserves a spin-off the most? I think there's fanfics about this, but I'd be down to see what Haymitch's life was like pre, during and immediately post-Hunger Games. Gandalf. I'd read all his biography. The two blue mages. They were the members of the Order, but nothing is known about them. The possibilities their existence opens up is lovely. Did they severely hinder Sauron's eastern armies, allowing for the Fellowship and forces of good to prevail just long enough for Frodo? Or, maybe their failings led to Sauron's rising, and they founded cults in the east. Etc. etc. Anyhow, it'd be nice to know just a teeny bit more, but I wouldn't want their purpose explained. Edit. Replaced Western with Eastern, cause they went east laughing out loud. Edit 2. Where is my head with directions today? Fixed. Edna Mode. The guy that always drops his ice cream in Lilo and Stitch. Why not Zoidberg? 2.5 Men, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. Preacher from Firefly, but back when he was a ruthless assassin for the Alliance. I would watch a show about literally any character even remotely related to Firefly. Nice try, Hollywood, now make something new. But if they were to pick an idea from this thread, then nobody can make a YouTube video about it titled The Spin-Off That Nobody Asked For. The two stormtroopers at the beginning of the one episode of The Mandalorian. Whole thing is just them having a conversation during target practice. Isn't that basically just red versus blue? I'm still convinced that some writer was a RVB fan, and wrote that scene as a nod to RVB. Asajj Ventress. I want a plot of the week series of her bounty hunting adventures during the Clone Wars. Toph's metal bending school. I know that Azula had her mini arch with her mother, but I wanted to see it animated rather than read it sadly. Also Sokka, I'd love to see a spin-off for him. It seemed criminal to me that Sokka wasn't present in The Legend of Korra. I kind of wonder if they chose to exclude him simply because they couldn't create a true enough older version of him. Although I totally accept that as a reason rather than seeing the character being ruined, it's still sad to not see him. I feel the same way, but I think part of the issue is they wanted more than just Aang to have passed away. Toph, Katara, and Zuko are all still alive. In a way, Sokka having passed away does help to push the feeling that time has truly passed. His absence is very noticeable. Plus cactus juice ain't good for the liver, I've heard. At least he got a mention. Poor Suki. It's like she never existed. You think that's bad? Yue was constantly around and had like no lines for 99% of her appearances. Rattlesnake Jake from Rango. Honestly, he was the best character. I'd like to see his backstory explored. Rango is one of my favorite animated movies ever, and I would watch the hell out of a Rattlesnake Jake spin-off. Raymond Holt. Edit. I've always wanted to say this, Gold? Do you think you can please me with a fictitious, virtual, Gold Award? Because yes, you can. It is my honor. Thank you. But do not expect me to make any statements about the kindness of this stranger. For all I know, I have not been gilded by a stranger, nor a kind person. Carry on with your day. There is still a lot of karma to achieve. Why is there no spin-off? I specifically requested it. Karen, the Continental Front Desk manager from the John Wick series. I picture him going about his day doing simple things with efficiency, diplomacy and tact. He lives in a small, yet well-kept apartment, lined with bookshelves, artwork, mostly sculptures, a vast tea collection and a long-haired cat named Styx. Throughout his day-to-day life he does extraordinary things and makes them seem ordinary. He stops a mugging while coming home from work, dispatching the muggers with brutal efficiency. He helps an elderly lady with her parcels, and turns down any offer of reward. He tutors his next-door neighbor, a Latino teen named Jesus, on history. He attends art shows and visits museums. Then, one unfortunate day, he finds out his sister has been killed. He takes a leave from the Continental and brings the killer to justice in a manner that would make Jason Bourne, Brian Mills, Robert McCall, Ethan Hunt and even John Wick shudder in disgust. Lance Reddick just needs to be in more things, period. You're going to have to settle for a young Winston, it's in the works, set 40 in the past. Aren't they making a prequel movie about the Continental? Frenchie from The Boys. That dude playing that character is something I could watch all day. There's just something beautiful about the way he says, "What in the F is this crap?" Davy Jones and Calypso. I would love to see the background from that story. I don't even think Disney remembers what happened clearly. In the 5th movie they forgot that Tia gave Jack the compass before Dead Man's Chest. Rita, the Full Metal bitch from Edge of Tomorrow. From the hints and guidance she gave Tom in the film, her time loop experience was a lot nastier. Give her a prequel. Edit. Wow, this one blew up. Glad to see there's so much love out there for this movie. Yes, I loved Rita. After that film came out I wanted to get a Full Metal bitch poster but I couldn't find one anywhere. Oh, especially as it's got one of those titles where you can do a funny prequel name like Edge of Yesterday or something. 2 days before the Edge of Tomorrow. Avatar, Tales of the White Lotus. Each member gets a season. Oh my god, yes, can you imagine the Uncle Iroh season? They could focus it on the relationship between him and Lu Ten. Minerva McGonagall. Downton Abbey wasn't her spin-off? Great Uncle Ford and Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls. I would kill to see a series of the sailing across the world on the Stan of War. Seeing Ford's adventures on the other side of the portal would be great. The focus of the series could be about him writing the journals. 3 journals. 3 seasons. I would love to see more of their wayward youth, also their relationship with the twins' parents. We see Stan and Stanford's little brother as a baby when they're high school seniors. That had to be a unique relationship. Gwen from Ben 10, but only from the original continuity. She gets overlooked because of the amount of attention her cousin Ben gets, and we never got to see the full potential of her true power, and she proved to be very badass even without his help. Jimmy Woo. It doesn't even need to be that much about the other superheroes. I just want to see him doing funny Randall Park stuff and some street magic sprinkled in. Troy and Abed in the morning would be great. It would be meta of them if they had a real morning talk show in our universe. Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. Nah, it's too soon, they only just did a Mary Poppins reboot in 2018. Yondu finds himself inexplicably alive in 1910 in England. The children need a nanny. The voice in the wind whispers. Who cares, I ain't no nanny. What they need is to learn how to grow a spine and stand up for themselves. And who are you? I have not pirated half the galaxy to take orders from mysterious disembodied voices. Bunch of Terran mumbled jumble. Okay, look. The children need a nanny and you need a ride off of Earth. I'll even sweeten the pot. Do a really good job and I'll even give you a hand-killing ego. What do you say? Wipe out your sins before they even happen and get some old-fashioned revenge? Yondu rubs his chin. Now you're speaking a language I understand. Well, where are the little pipsqueaks? I'm sure Uncle Yondu can show them the ropes. Toughen them up a bit. We then see approximately a remake of Mary Poppins, except Yondu spends most of the time being pissed off at the cartoon adventures. In the end, though, the children learn how to take care of themselves and Yondu learns how to be a responsible, if unorthodox, parent figure. He also robs the bank. Bird also leaves England to go to space with Yondu. The end. I know Donald Glover quit Community to pursue his music career, but I would 100% watch Troy Barnes sail around the world. I would both love to see this, but also be strangely sad/nostalgic over the rest of the cast missing, especially his relationship with Abed. Troy in a bed in the UACEM. Knights. Aragorn, he's got like 80 years of being a badass ranger. Probably tons of stories of him fighting all sorts of creatures. I had a playwriting class in high school, and one writing thing we had to do was written a monologue for an existing character. I did mine as Aragorn, now reigning as king, and missing the days where he had a clear-cut good and evil battle to solve with his sword instead of dealing with the politics of a large country. Sire, the cow died on my property, therefore it is my cow. Sire, no, the cow grew up on my property and ate all my grass, therefore the cow belongs to me. Aragorn, someone resurrect Sauron. Absolutely, he shows up in LOTR without hardly any backstory. He's the ultimate protagonist, and we know close to nothing about what he's done his whole life. We just know who his great, I have no idea how many greats, grandfather is. I can't decide which version of him I like better. In the films, he's somewhat the reluctant king figure and is extremely humble about who he is and his right to the throne of men. In the books, he's similar, except he declares his title quite often instead of letting other characters be like, "Don't you know who this is?" So in the books, he's more arrogant? I wouldn't say arrogant. More like, he knows exactly who he is, and he doesn't waste time in telling people. Like, he doesn't sit down to a conversation with Frodo and Bree, say all the stuff about going with them and then say, "Oh, by the way, I'm setting myself as leader because I'm the heir to the throne of the largest region of Middle-earth. Please make sure you treat me as such. I'll expect a foot massage at 5 a.m. tomorrow." Whenever he says who he is, it's always at an appropriate moment, so with the Bree example, he waits for Frodo to receive his letter from Gandalf, then says, "I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and I shall protect you on the road to Rivendell," and then just doesn't mention it again. It makes sense when you look at it in context. In old mythology, which Tolkien was trying to emulate, nobility is another species entirely. They have a certain air and certainty, even if they don't realize their lineage yet. Part of the reason that heroes would discover at some point they are of royal descent. It justifies their attitude and heroism, why they can do things others just can't. So Aragorn mentioning his nobility at key points is like your Mexican friend saying, "I'm Mexican, let me handle this," at various parts through your trip through Mexico. He's just stating what he is as giving him a certain insight or ability to certain things. It's not that Aragorn doesn't have issues with his destiny, but it's just who he is. The movies kind of toned that down. Our attitude against nobility has changed since Tolkien wrote the books. And we don't connect LOTR to ancient mythology, but to the genre it started, fantasy. And in fantasy, the noble blood trope has been deconstructed enough. We don't see nobles as someone who just is great, but as humans who take a dominating role over others. So by making Aragorn a bit more reticent about his claim to nobility, he doesn't feel like someone who just came in and started giving orders because he felt entitled to, but instead as someone who earns the title through his actions. In the book though, Aragorn always deserved it because of his lineage. The hobbits, on the other hand, represent more of the modern everyday man hero, who earns the title by stepping up, not due to anything else. Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors. Young Captain Holt. And a surprise cameos from young Hitchcock and Scully. That would be way too perfect. Then show what actually happened with Wunsch and Derek Jeter. I heard he caught the disco strangler. My wife was murdered by a man in a yellow sweater. Velvet. Thunder. Zelda. Her name's in the bloody title. Maybe she could actually get to do stuff one day. Technically, she's the main character in one of the CDI games. They don't count, of course. But, you know, technically. You dare bring Leite into Ma Lair. You would think they'd have done more with Sheik, but instead she is relegated to Super Smash Bros. In both Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword, Zelda was up to some adventures of her own, but we just never saw them. The two stoner animal control guys from Parks and Recreation. R.I.P. Harris Whittles. But I'm actually going to kill these birds for real? Hosea Matthews or Lenny Summers from Red Dead Redemption 2. Alastair Mood from the Harry Potter books. Make a TV series on his prime days as an Auror, hunting down and dueling Death Eaters, and you'll bet I'll watch. Law and Auror? There is so much potential with this universe, I don't know how we ended up with the cursed child. Or Fantastic Beasts, to be honest. It's the same thing as Star Wars deciding to make everything about the Skywalkers when there's a gigantic universe out there. Fantastic Beasts was a super cool story that didn't need to be about Grindelwald or Dumbledore or any of the other main characters in Harry Potter. To be fair, I think Grindelwald and Dumbledore and the First Wizard World War is also a great spin-off material. It's like Voldemort but darker and opposed by an astonishingly talented adult and not a plucky 11-year-old. Why the two plots have to be crammed into the same movie, I have no idea. They have completely opposite tone and theme. The characters are barely related and there's no reason why they should interact. They take place in roughly the same decade? I guess? When it was first announced, I was hoping for something like the Wizarding World's version of Steve Irwin or even Crocodile Dundee sort of adventurer, super blasé about monsters. Finnick Dare from The Hunger Games. Iroh from Avatar. His journey from Fire Nation prince and general to leader of the White Lotus. Including the siege of Ba Sing Se, the Sun Warriors and Dragons, and sadly Lu Ten. Yes, Iroh, we all know about your trip to the spirit world. I imagine he would have decided to become completely in touch with his spiritual self after the loss of his son and his departure from the war, making him the first of the Fire Nation to be able to do so for a long time. I too would like to watch Iroh commit war crimes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.